Hey, how's it going? I'm back. Kind of blending in with the background today. But I just kind of want to talk to you about these guys here. Not just this, but also like vaping. So I got these. I don't really use these. I actually just picked these up. They kind of suck. But if you're somebody who hasn't vaped, don't ever do it. And I'm here to tell you why. Back when I was like 16, this shit was kind of cool. It was kind of like a fun little party trick. Vaping, anyways. You know, you blow your clouds, you blow the O's. And back then, it used to actually be like the big box mods, and you blow the fucking like big clouds everywhere. And it was, like I said, a party trick. As the years gone on, it's straight up an addiction. It's something that is like a true pain in my ass. If I could go back and tell my younger self, I would tell him, don't do this shit, it ain't worth it. And there's always kind of been this idea that's stuck with me too, is like, if you've never tried it, you won't ever know what it's like not to do it. Or this saying, curiosity killed the cat, because once you get into it and you enjoy it, that's just the beginning phase. The enjoyment is kind of the part where it's like really easy, it's like fun. And then after a while, it's not really an enjoyment anymore, it's an addiction. It's something you feel like you have to do. And I don't know if anybody's heard of the phrase. I'm sure you have, the Nick rush. And that's usually the first thing that you kind of feel when you do it. You kind of like get a little lightheaded. You feel like a little like numbness in the body, a little tingling, and that shit's kind of fun. Like the rush you get from it. But after a while, it goes away. Like literally, that feeling goes away too. So what you're left with is just a dependency on a substance that you don't need at all, but yet you still want because you've already had that feeling. Now, one thing I will say is a difference between like the Zyn, like this stuff, anything really, versus vaping and cigarettes is the mouth to hand. And that feeling is something that is way more difficult than like nicotine itself. And it took me a while to actually wean off of it. I think I tried to quit like probably close to 4 or 5 times, just to get off vaping. So the fact that I'm not vaping anymore is a miracle. But it's not something that's easy. You really miss the feeling of, just sitting there puffing away, puffing away, puffing away. Where these, I have like about like 4 of these, maybe a day max. So it's a little more regulated. But that being said, though, it's just that the addiction you get from it is nonstop. And obviously you see the studies coming out now. They're talking about how it's harmful to you and how can do this, that, and the third to the body. I will say, though, there was a lot of things I kind of convinced myself wasn't worth it at the time, like or like was fake. And that was with like the vitamin E acetane. And basically what that was like knockoff carts that people were selling, and it came from like China, whatever. And basically this stuff was like straight up cancerous to you. They were putting this stuff in it, and it was fucking with you. And I thought to myself, well, I'm getting the top notch shit, so I'm not being affected. And while that is true, you aren't getting affected in that, right? There's a lot of other ways and aspects that it is messing with you. um you know I will say, like, your breathing, your overall respiratory health is going to take a hit, rather if you see it or not. I've always been like a runner. Like, I was a track athlete, for fuck's sake. So I really didn't notice anything. And even now, if I'm being honest, I really didn't notice a whole lot of differences between me quitting and not quitting. But I will say that I know I'm helping myself in the long run by just switching and making that difference for myself. If you're somebody who hasn't vaped, or you're young and maybe you're thinking about it, don't do it. Like, literally, it's not worth it. I couldn't even give you one reason why it's worth it. The people you attract for it isn't going to be worth it. So if like you want that coolness factor, if you want to fit in, the people who you're trying to fit in with are going to be degenerates down the road anyways. They're going to be people who are going to be high achievers, or anything like that. I mean, sure, you got businessmen who are out there vaping, but what do they look like? Fucking losers too. There's plenty of successful people who do things without needing nicotine, for fuck's sake. Um, you know, um, it would get really bad, to the point where I'd be at a job and I'd go to the bathroom just to just to vape for a little bit, just to take the edge off. Because I've done sales positions before, I've done like tree service before, and well, tree service you could do that anywhere. But that being said, though, there's a lot of high stress environments where it's just like I just need to take a load off. I just need to hit my vape and I'll be back to normal. And that kind of leads me to another negative aspect of vaping, which is like your dependency to feel normal. It also coincides with vaping as well. Like if you feel off edge, or if you start, if you're an anxious type of individual, the nicotine's just going to make it worse too. There's no aspect of it that's going to benefit you in the long run. Maybe in the short run, sure. Who am I? And I've heard people say that they do it to stay focused. Um, but you got to think about your baseline and what your body naturally does for you to begin with, where that baseline is already going to give you what you need to be able to continue throughout your life, throughout your day, throughout your entire existence. So I really feel for people who are trying to quit. And if you're somebody who's tried to quit like 4 or 5 times, it's not over. You can quit. You just have to have enough determination. Like literally, you need to hate it enough to not want to do it. Like you need to dislike yourself in this position enough to not want to continue doing it. And I'm really praying for you guys, man, because I think you can do it. You just got to put your mind to it and just keep going at it. That being said, another thing that like when I quit vaping, it also helped me quit smoking weed. I used to have a little Pendriman, like the 510 carts. I had like a really nice advanced one that like you stuck in and you're just able to hit it whenever you want, charge it up. It was all good. It wasn't like one of those super long ones. It was like this short. But I quit doing that too right after. Like it was like a chain effect. So like once I was able to stop vaping, I was able to stop smoking weed. Like I literally haven't, like I'll still I'm not gonna lie to you. I mean, I'll go with my friend and I'll smoke weed with him once in a while, my one friend. But that doesn't mean I do it. I don't really necessarily look forward to it anymore. I more or less just kind of hit it just to kind of like, hey man, yeah, I'll smoke with you, whatever. But I'll take like the smallest hit ever. And that's what kind of led me to believe that I don't even really like the feeling of being high either. I was just so used to being high that it was just like the nicotine. It was just another normal thing that I did. And so once I took that tolerance break for myself and I was actually able to get off of weed for a while, speaking from somebody, this has been like 4 months now. But, at once I was able to take that tolerance break and kind of come back, I hung out with my one friend that I was just saying, and I smoked that weed like I usually do, like hitting it crazy. We were all in a group, we were all chilling, and then all of a sudden I just got this rush of anxiety, this numbing in my body. And this is all stuff you're supposed to feel when you're high too, by the way. It's not like anything was different from it was before but it just felt different in a way of like I would rather be more in control of myself than out of control, letting the weed take effect in what it was doing. And I ended up leaving the group and going out to the car with my girlfriend and having a talk with her. I was like, I hate this shit. I hate the way it's making me feel. I hate everything about this right now. And we kind of talked through it. I ended up leaving like early, so you imagine what that does to you in a social situation. I kind of just bogged the whole thing just because I got too high. And so as long as you communicate with your friends and they're okay with it, I think you'll be okay too. And if they aren't cool with it, and if they think they need to stop hanging out with you because you can't smoke or drink around them, your friends are lame. Like plain, like, period. That's about it. That's all there is to it. Your friends are lame. They don't want you to succeed. They don't want to see you be better as an individual. They're probably envious of the fact that you are able to do that. um I'm somebody who has realized that it is a lot better to be lonely and more in control of my mindset than it is to be around a bunch of losers who don't give a shit about you in the first place. Because that's really what it's going to boil down to. You're going to realize that a lot of people around you aren't really for you. Um, Another thing I'll say is, don't expect people to give you congratulations for it. It's more of a personal thing. Um, like I told my family about it, told, a couple friends about it, and, you really don't get that, like, congratulations like you really want to. You more just, I mean, from my personal experience, I didn't really get a whole lot of, like, congrats or whatever. Um, and that at first made me feel really shitty. I was like, man, like, it's been so long. Like, for me, it was like 9 years. So I thought maybe there would be more to it, but there really wasn't. So, but I still, for my own personal self, I'm proud of myself for not falling victim and being another statistic, basically, to this epidemic of constantly being high, constantly being, vaping. Um, and I'll lead you with another negative here is, with weed. Anyways, I'm sure a lot of people have said this, and they say it because it's true. It is a motivation killer. Um, there's a lot of times where you're dissatisfied with your situation, and hey, I don't like how things are going, so I'm gonna smoke some weed. Things are gonna be better. And while you might feel better at the moment, what really is that doing is it's making you complacent with your situation. You're supposed to feel these emotions. You're supposed to be mad. You're supposed to be pissed off at the fact that you aren't getting what you want in this situation. Maybe sitting with yourself in these emotions is a good way out. Uh, I think they say, like, the hardest times make good soldiers, that kind of thing. And I believe that. I believe that through manifesting your own shitty situation, you can come out of it stronger by being more resilient, by being more headstrong with what you believe in. If anybody's watching this and they have quit as well, this is my congratulations. Good job for you, man. Because, like I said, this shit ain't easy, but you aren't alone. And yeah, I really think anything's possible. But if you have a similar experience, or if, maybe this helped you make a better decision in life, let me know. Because, I'd like to hear from you as well. But anyways, I hope you guys have a great day, and I'm out. Peace.